let's get controversial. This is a Squid Industries Tsunami, arguably the best Balisong to ever exist. That is widely regarded as that, and I completely agree. Nothing beats the Tsunami for me. I've flipped hundreds of different Balisongs at this point, and the Tsunami still stands right on top. Best flipper, looks pretty darn clean. The build quality, the machining, the tolerances, everything is just on point. What happens when you clone that a whole lot of times, fail a whole lot of times, then make arguably the closest Tsunami clone possible? This thing right here, the Baliplus V4 Tsunami, is actually pretty darn close. But does that mean you should buy it? Well, I am no clone endorser. I will never think that a clone is better than the original product, except with the Benchmade Necron. And I hate to say it, but this thing kind of gives this thing, the Tsunami, a run for its money. I'm not gonna lie. Because, look, the Baliplus V4 Tsunami, when they were still in production, were like $140. So not bad, especially for titanium. And the real Tsunami is $750, which is a lot of money, like a lot of money. Well, when I first joined the hobby, I was like, I will never buy anything more expensive than a Kraken. A Kraken is all I'll ever need. And as any Balisong flipper knows, Kraken is typically not all you need, and you end up spending thousands of dollars on other things. And when I bought my Tsunami, it was worth it. It was worth the $800. This clone, sure, it's a lot cheaper. It's a budget option. But should you just buy a clone and ignore the fact that this Tsunami is objectively better, even though it's 5 times more expensive? I don't know. Let me go over some of the quirks about the Baliplus Tsunami. Some of the things that I've noticed that are different, that are like a lot worse, and some of the stupid little corners Baliplus cut, making this Tsunami. Number one, pretty obvious, the hardware. The hardware on here, I don't know what it's made out of. I don't think it's titanium. I think it's heat-treated or heat-anodized steel. That is not heat-treated. It is super soft. And I stripped one of the screws while trying to tune this for my friend Min. By the way, I did not buy this Tsunami. This is just a little favor I'm doing for Min. But this hardware is pretty weak. I definitely am not a fan of hardware that strips that easily. Another thing, the tune. When Min got this thing, I'm not sure if it was brand new or not, but the tolerances were horrendous. Like, some of the worst tolerances I have ever seen. I have made them significantly better, but part of the problems with this Bali is that it just doesn't want to get a good tune. I don't know what it is. When I would tune it, I took down the bushings a lot of rotations, like a lot of them. Put it back together, still had play, but it was starting to bind. See, it keep wanting to bind right here, and I don't know why. I've been breaking it in as much as I can. I went in for another tune on it, got it a little bit better even, but I decided to stop. I told Min, I was like, I can't go any further, otherwise I think it'll just bind a lot. It's to the point where the binding has basically stopped. Just needs some oil and stuff, and it's doing good. It's to the point where there's no tap. But boy, is there some wiggle, which is obnoxious. I hate that. But I didn't charge for the tune or anything. And I would much rather not ruin Min's knife. So, but I think the reason it's so badly tuned was, one, no effort was put into the tune at all by whoever assembled it. Like, literally the biggest bushings ever. Just slap them in here. And two, I think the blade is uneven in some spots. I did not use calipers to just to see if the blade was uneven in some parts or anything like that. But one hint that I'm getting is the fact that when it binds, it only binds in one spot. Normally it'll bind like here or something, but no, it's just right in the middle, just meaning it might be slightly thicker there or something like that. And two, this blade has some issues. One big one I noticed was right here. I don't know if you can see that. Try to get it in the right light. But on a normal Tsunami, you of course have a perfectly straight line right here where the grind goes. It's just a flat edge. On the clone, it goes like this, and then it goes out. It's really weird. It's only on that one side too, meaning it was a screw up. On this side too, it's not perfectly flat. It just goes up, and then it goes, it's like a curve. And it's not supposed to be like that. It's very uneven. And that just shows that this blade was, it should have been so much better. If Squid made a blade like that, their QC would catch it immediately and slap on a new blade. There'd be no issues like that. Those little screw ups shouldn't affect anything, but that does lead me to believe that this blade is screwed up in more ways, leading to a terrible tune. Also, one big difference I've noticed between these two blades is that the texturing on it. I guess not so much the texturing, the finish, I should say. This blade on the clone has a very weird finish. It's like not quite a satin finish. It's like almost a satin finish, but it's almost chalky. It's like a matte finish. It doesn't feel like a Zer blast or any sort of good blast. Maybe like a bead blast or something, if you can even do that to a blade. That's what it feels like. I really don't like how that feels. Like a blade, it should be shiny, right? Unless it's like a Zer blast. Zer blasted blades actually feel really good. But yeah, I'm not a fan of all these little shortcuts they took machining the blade. Now, of course, they're not gonna make like the best high quality Bali, because they're selling it for so cheap. They're gonna cut every little corner they can. That's the point of clones, basically. Be cheap, be widely available to all the countries, that kind of thing. Some more differences between the two is probably the grade of titanium. I don't know for sure, but I would not think that the clone Tsunami would have grade 5 tie. It does have titanium, that's good, but I don't know if it is the same quality of titanium as the Tsunami. I would assume it's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it could be, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Also, the blade steel. I am almost certain that this is like some weak blade steel, not S35VN. And one reason I think that is while I was tuning, I was like pressing the blade just a little bit up against a surface so I could crank, and the blade was starting to like move a little bit. The blade feels really weak. I don't know why. For you, Min, I recommend maybe don't like chuck this thing blade first at concrete if you can, because I'm not sure how well that blade's gonna last. I'm not even sure if it's heat treated, so look out for that. But those are the main differences I noticed between these two. All the hole cutouts, the handle milling. The handle texturing is actually a little deeper on the clone, which you don't feel at all. But it's visibly deeper. The jimping is exactly the same, no difference there. Handles seem to line up good, so that's good. The handle gap, it's a little bit bigger on mine, but I do have a step pin in, so that's to be expected. This is still slightly smaller than if like a brand new Tsunami handle gap would be, so that is another little quirk. But I think those are all the cosmetic and material differences. Let's get down to the flipping. One thing I do want to check is the balance point. Both of these are running no pins, tie hardware, assuming this is steel hardware. So that could change the balance point a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit different. So I don't know what exactly that means. What would be causing that weight difference? I doubt it's just the material of the hardware, so maybe watch out for that. It was very slight, but you never know. Okay, now arguably the most accurate thing between these two is the flipping. Now, I've picked up this clone. It literally just happened a few minutes before I recorded this video. I picked it up and thought I was flipping my Tsunami. And then I realized, holy, this is not my Tsunami. When you really feel between the two, you do feel a difference. I will say that. The Tsunami, the real one, feels better in pretty much every way. This feels like a very dry, very beat Tsunami almost. While the real Tsunami, of course, feels like a Tsunami. Basically, what I'm trying to get at with this video is that, yes, you can buy a Tsunami clone. Unless it's the Blue River one with a certificate of authenticity and all that junk with Lucas's name on it and a whole bunch of other squid workers that is all just forged onto that card. You can't buy that one. Do not, please. Buy an Armed Shark one or something like that. Yeah, basically just do not buy the Blue River one. That's all I beg of you. An Armed Shark Tsunami clone is really good, especially for a trainer. I flipped those. I made a video on them in the past. It's pretty good for a clone. This Baliplus one, despite it having a live blade, I really like a lot less than the Armed Shark one. However, this is the closest to a live blade Tsunami that I felt from a clone. I flipped several clones, Tsunami clones with live blade. They don't flip that similar to a Tsunami, especially the one clone. But this one is close-ish to the flipping experience, but I still can't recommend a Tsunami enough. The real thing is just so worth it. If you can ever get one, do it. Basically, I just wanted to compare the two. I know a lot of people are eager. They're curious about the Tsunami clones. And I just want to say, no, it's not as good. It's not. I do recommend that if you can, you support Lucas and Squid Industries, buy the real thing. However, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a clone. My first, half decent Balisong was a Kraken clone with 6061 aluminum. I had no clue what a clone was. I bought that thing for like $80. It was a terrible deal. But I was like, I'm getting a knockoff Kraken for like a third of the price. That's pretty cool. And I learned a lot from that. And I wouldn't be here if I hadn't bought that. And then I bought a Nautilus clone, which then led me to buy the real Nautilus. And that's what just sent me on this path. That was when I started making YouTube videos. My first video on this channel was my Kraken clone review. So, clones do have a place. I really don't like what they do when it comes to stealing people's logos and stealing people's certificates of authenticity. We're getting to a crazy point with clones now where it's to the point where people are scared to buy a Tsunami now because they think they'll get scammed by Blue River. So just watch out. Don't buy the Blue River one. But clones can objectively be a good thing in this hobby. Also, a lot of people, different cultures, different countries, they only have access to like AliExpress stuff and LDY and Nabalis. So if they ever want to try a squid product, they got to buy a clone or try to find one secondhand, get it through customs, all that fun jazz. So yeah, they definitely have a place, but they just got to be careful not to go too far. Anyways, that's my thoughts on clones and on the Baliplus V4 Tsunami. Probably not the best Tsunami clone, but for what it is, it's pretty good. Also, sorry Min for kind of bashing your knife in this video. You did tell me I could record something, and this is kind of what I had planned. But yeah, hope you enjoy it. Hope the tune lasts. Wish it could have done better, but whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching. By the way, if you're watching this still, you're seeing this video like a week after I recorded it. Because I have 2 Nabalis products coming today. I think. 1 or 2. So, yeah. I'll see you in like really soon. I don't even know. This timeline is getting really confusing. Bye.